Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. This is easily one of the most peaceful and cleanest cities I've ever been to. Today, we're going to explore the city of Kigali as I take you through my 5-day trip so that you can have an idea of what you can expect if you decide to visit. We're going to be checking out some things to do, including nightlife, indoor and outdoor activities, my accommodations, and more. So sit back and relax as we explore Kigali, Rwanda. For those that don't know, Rwanda is a very small country located in East Africa, with Uganda to the north, Tanzania to the east, Burundi to the south, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the west. Kigali is the capital city and has a pretty big population of about 1.7 million people. So if you've ever looked up Kigali like I did before this trip, then it's a good chance you may see an article about how clean the city is. And I can tell you right now, it's totally true. This is definitely one of the cleanest cities I've visited worldwide. With all the hills throughout the city and the bright colors everywhere, it kind of looks like a painting. So a friend of mine in Uganda told me about an outdoor recreation park that I should try out called Fazenda, located about 20 minutes outside of the city center. Here, you can participate in things like archery, which I didn't even know I was good at until I visited this place. I traveled to Fazenda alone, but ended up meeting and spending time with a few other tourists who were also there visiting. They were really cool. Fazenda also has zip lining, horseback riding, and a wide variety of other activities, all at really affordable prices compared to what we'd see in the US. The property also has a really big restaurant with nice indoor and outdoor eating areas. One of the best things about the property though is just the beauty of the place, and they have some awesome views. Fazenda is definitely a must visit whenever in Kigali. Now, for my solo travelers out there, I must say that people from Rwanda are kind of to themselves, for lack of a better description. If you've ever been to Rwanda, then you probably know what I mean. As a person who travels alone often, a lot of the time I rely on people I meet to point me in the right direction as far as things to do and entertainment options. But I found that kind of difficult in Kigali, so just be aware of that. However, when exploring Kigali's nightlife, it's the total opposite. So during the weekday, you might find a few places with people shooting pool or maybe some karaoke spots. But on the weekend, it definitely goes down. The first lounge that I went to was called Atelier du Vin, which is also attached to one of the best restaurants in the city, but we'll get into that later. The DJ here was great, the drinks were well priced, and the vibes were really good. Drinks here this night cost anywhere between $4 and $6 US, which comes out to about 5,000 to 8,000 Rwandan franc. Now what was a complete surprise to me is that the Nigerian artist Ranking was performing here this night, which was really cool to see. My favorite night spot in Kigali was a bar called Shooters. If you didn't know, one of the many things Rwanda is known for is their beautiful women, and Shooters was full of them. This place definitely had more of a club vibe, and it was a really good time. Entry into Shooters was only about 9,000 Rwandan franc, or $7 US, and drinks cost anywhere between $3 and $5 US. Actually, Shooters is where I met every Rwandan that I hung out with throughout this trip. Another good surprise that I wasn't expecting is that the popular Ghanaian artist King Promise was also there performing. He gave us a great show, and his energy was amazing. Kigali also has a number of lounges, my favorite one being the lounge Pili Pili. This is a good place to visit late evening to enjoy some music and vibes before heading out to the nightclubs or wherever the night takes you. Overall, Kigali's nightlife is definitely better than advertised. But what was also better than advertised was all the amazing restaurants Kigali has. My favorite restaurant was Soy Table. This upscale restaurant has an Asian theme and a wonderful decor. The food here was excellent. And they have both an indoor and outdoor space that's really relaxing and gives off a good vibe. Another good restaurant was The Hut. This restaurant also has some amazing food. But on top of that, it sits on a very big hill. So you have some great views of the city, especially at night. The last restaurant that I want to highlight is the restaurant Atelier du Vin. The same restaurant that I mentioned earlier that has the lounge attached to it where Patoranking performed. This was a very beautiful restaurant that has some really interesting dishes and a huge selection of wines. Kigali had many outstanding restaurants, and I plan on visiting again and trying as many of them as possible. Kigali also has a number of interesting museums to check out. The first one I visited was Kant House Museum. What I liked most about this museum is that it goes into life in Rwanda prior to the colonial period, which is a story that I personally have never heard and is very interesting. If you pay a little extra, you can also get a taste of some of Rwanda's nature and geological history at this museum. They have a building strictly dedicated to live reptiles and other geological exhibits. Actually, I met another American at this museum who I ended up hanging out with during this trip. Cool peoples. If you're into art, another museum you can visit is the Rwanda Art Museum. Here, they highlight a lot of Rwandans' creativity and the country's significant art contributions. This is just one of the 8 museums that make up the Institute of National Museums of Rwanda. I definitely plan on visiting all of them during future visits. Switching gears, when it comes to getting around the city, Kigali doesn't have Uber. But what they do have is tons of moto taxis and also regular car taxis. They also have public buses you can use. However, I didn't take the time to learn the bus system and routes as I wasn't in the city long enough to really benefit from it. Now, as far as my accommodations, I stayed at the establishment Executive Suites. Located right in the city center, Executive Suites basically offers high-rise apartments. My room came with a full living room, full kitchen, 2 bedrooms, and 1 bath. Each room has its own housekeeper that cleans and does your laundry at no extra charge. Each night here cost me about $100 per night, and breakfast was included. Overall, Kigali is a very wonderful and interesting city. It's extremely safe, very beautiful, and I can see myself visiting this city over and over for years to come. As far as visa requirements, US citizens do need a visa to visit Rwanda, which you can obtain electronically. Rwanda offers both single and multi-entry tourist visas, as well as the popular East African tourist visa, which is a joint tourist visa issued to people who plan on traveling within the countries of Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda for tourism. The application for the East African tourist visa is $100. But if you just want the Rwanda tourist visa, the application fee is $70 for multi-entry and only $50 for single entry. As I said in both my Kenya and Uganda videos, I recommend getting the East African tourist visa and visiting all 3 countries if your schedule and budget permits. You won't be disappointed. I have videos on all 3 countries. If you want to check them out, you can click on the playlist on the screen. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.